Greetings.
Greetings. Thanks for clicking on my face. Have you ever been casually chatting with someone and a certain word or phrase that is spoken unlocks something deep in your subconscious? Sort of like being triggered, but in a lighter sense. Something that is utterly inconsequential, but your brain just thought, better bury this. Well, that happened to me a few weeks ago, and the phrase that affected me was can of worms. This is a somewhat popular phrase, and according to mentalfloss.com,
metaphorically speaking, to open a can of worms is to examine or attempt to solve some problem, only to inadvertently complicate it and create even more trouble. Literally speaking, opening a can of worms, as most fishermen can attest, can also mean more trouble than you bargained for.
So what was so repressed in my memory that made me drop everything I was doing to do some Googling? This is Can of Worms, an abomination that Disney, yes, that Disney, decided to adapt from a novel of the same title and air on their channel as one of the first Disney Channel original movies in 1999. A huge part of millennial culture was the introduction of Disney Channel original movies, the first of which being Under Wraps in 1997. It's about a horny mummy. They were off to a great start. These TV movies were so prevalent that I feel like anyone with a TV who was growing up around Y2K definitely watched at least one at the time. Did you know that there are over 100 Disney Channel original movies now? I can name like 10. Before High School Musical came around, the most popular favorites were Halloween Town, Brink, and the Even Stevens movie. God, I wish I was talking about any of those instead. But no, I decided to take on the task of digging up Can of Worms so you can be a part of my misery. Now you must know this exists too. So without further ado, here's this. We open on a stormy night and boom, there's our title. Where did this equipment come from? Did this kid steal government property?
Fellow citizens of the galaxy, I do not belong on this planet. I am one of you. I am being held against my will. Take me away from this. Desperately in need of your assistance. Mike Pillsbury. Just come and get me!
Ah, classic intro. Meet Mike Pillsbury. He's convinced that he is not of this planet and is actually an alien from outer space. He writes stories of the wars that have taken place in the stars, Star Wars, if you will, that are, according to him, a legitimate period of intergalactic history.
This is too sad.
It gets worse.
He is sharing these stories with his best friend's younger brother in a comic slideshow, and it becomes pretty obvious that this is what he considers to be his theoretical origin story.
The boy will be adopted and raised as an Earthling. But he'll never really feel at home. Never feel like he belongs.
Then you take this being weird thing entirely too seriously. Why don't you just accept the fact that you're a normal human being like everyone else?
Even someone who's in the middle of awkward high school crap knows that everyone feels like they don't belong at one point or another. Mike's idiot dad pressures him to play on the school's football team, which should have been obvious at the jump that it wouldn't be a good fit.
He says it'll be good for my character.
Mike having oblivious parents does not help with his delusions, but he is off to football practice to please father, as is tradition with human males.
Doubling back! It's going the wrong way!
After he gets a concussion and hallucinates, the coach just leaves him be, as do his parents, since this movie needs to drive home that adults don't pay any mind to children. Now that I think about it, Mike has every right to feel out of place. Typically, parents care when their kid is seriously injured. Poor dude. In other news, dude's got a voice-activated satellite dish in his backyard. His mom uses it for work calls, and therefore this goes entirely unaddressed. Also, adults who write kids' dialogue need to get better at pretending they've ever heard a single kid talk.
Are you sure?
Does a tesseract exist in 4 dimensions?
Time for school, first period, computer lab. Nick is aware there is an audience watching, and dumps some relevant character information on us.
Scott Schreibner, big man on campus. Muscles, good-looking athlete, computer whiz. How perfect can a guy get?
Interestingly enough, Scott Schreibner is also a tech geek, which I'll admit is a nice twist to the usual jock versus nerd dynamic. Whoa, cutie alert, it's time for a hack-off.
Yes, do it, Mike. Make him suffer.
You win.
Later that day, Mike's little sister tells him that he has a visitor, and that she's waiting for him in his room. Oh man, it's Caitlin, and she's genuinely interested in his gadgets and projects. She requests for his help with tech-related decorations for the upcoming Halloween dance, and with a festive montage, things start turning up for our man Mike.
That's called a montage.
Caitlin is genuinely interested in spending time with Mike, and she asks him to tell her one of his awesome stories that he's apparently known for. He starts to spin some epic space yarns when Scott Schreibner poops on the party and tries to whisk Caitlin away. But ooh-wee, she chooses to hang with our boy Mike instead. This is important because later on, the school's gym is left unlocked, and therefore Scott can get into the gym and hack Mike's tech for the Halloween dance. Whatever that means. Cut to the dance, Mike is walking on air until the hacking commences and ruins everything, possibly burning down the school gym in the process. We never get clarification on that. Humiliated, Mike runs home and the movie picks up where it left off in the beginning. Once he broadcasts his desperate cry for help into the universe, there's an over-the-top explosion, and life seemingly couldn't get any worse.
It gets worse!
Hey, I hope you're still with me, 'cause, it's time to get weird.
Let's get weird! Let's get weird!
Mike is miserable after his first day back at school since the Halloween dance disaster. He pouts in his frankly righteous treehouse, and an ominous light beams at him from the heavens. Then suddenly, Space Dog.
Please don't touch. My people are a superior race, and we abhor casual contact with primitives.
Oh boy, it's Malcolm McDowell.
My mind has finally snapped.
I'm afraid you're quite sane, and gifted with an abundant intelligence. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been able to open the Stargate.
You heard him right, folks. The Stargate. And it's got a little doghouse in front of it.
Allow me to introduce myself. I am Barnabas, from the star system Puppis.
Oh boy.
Barnabas urges Mike to trust no one but him when he runs off, and Mike, still convinced this is all a vivid hallucination, fixes himself something to eat. Then, this happens.
I am the Bone, your new best friend.
I am so sorry. I completely understand if you want to turn away at this point, because we gotta talk about this guy and he just gets grosser. The Bome consumes earth food, pops popcorn from its pustules, and is generally upsettingly grotesque. All this happens while Mike is on the phone with Caitlin, and it's a fun, disgusting little fiasco. The Bohm is the first of many puppets that we come across in this film, and if it disgusts you as much as it does me, then we have Steve Johnson to thank for it. His more notable creations include Slimer from the original Ghostbusters, the makeup effects in Freaked, Robin Williams' robotics in Bicentennial Man, and my personal favorite, Doc Ock's arms in Spider-Man 2. Seriously, look the guy up. His filmography is awesome. Okay, back to the Bohm.
Well, perhaps it'll make you feel better to know that I am what you Earthlings call a lawyer.
What?
Perhaps it'll make you feel better to know you have an open and shut case against the Earth government. In short, we can sue the pants off of planet Earth.
No, I don't want to sue anybody. Sorry, but no.
You think you're sorry now? Wait till you hear from my lawyers. I'm suing you for wasting my time.
Once the Bohm takes his leave, Nick stops by and thinks Mike's talking a bunch of nonsense, and he once again speaks for all of us.
He used a Stargate. Oh. That's unoriginal.
As the day wears on, Barnabas appears in another attempt to protect Mike from an oncoming mob of aliens, now that Mike has sent a broadcast proving that Earth is more advanced than the space government thought. A lot of information is dropped on us, as if they're trying to maintain a coherent plot. Regardless of these urgent issues, all Mike wants to do is apologize to Caitlin. However, our friend from the box art demands his attention.
Hey! What? How do you do? I wonder if you could spare a few moments of your time. I have an interesting proposition for you.
Now, this dude is never given a name, even though he is the biggest draw in all of the PR material for this film. So I'm just gonna call him Loafers for reasons you're about to discover.
I would like to be your agent and represent you for all media throughout the galaxy, Mike Pillsbury.
Mike?
Hey! We need to go somewhere more, private. You know, I just love a captive audience. Going up. Woohoo! So, the story is classic. A young boy, gifted with superior intelligence, but alone in life. If we marry with the proper creative elements, I think your life has a good chance of being a springboard for a weekly series. It's gonna hit where it hurts. Mike, can we talk?
Will you shut up?
Well, if you feel that way about it.
Mike?
Over dinner, Mike asks his parents if he is adopted, and they assure him that he is their child, despite his sociopath little sister continuing to make rude comments. I only mention this scene because I am still not sure if he is an alien or not. We'll discuss that later. We come to the next day, even though it's hard to tell given Mike is wearing the same clothes as the day before. He and Nick meet up at his rad treehouse, and the aforementioned alien mob appears before them.
Excuse me. Have you thought about a
We'll go out on a date? It would be lots of fun. We'd have a great time. Let's cruise Andromeda.
Your signature would ratify our agreement. Please sign.
And you'll be rich beyond your wildest dreams.
Our human characters are overwhelmed, just like the children watching in 1999 who don't understand what the funny aliens are talking about. Heck, I'm overwhelmed just trying to write a straightforward summary about this mess, and the weirdness only escalates from here.
It gets worse.
Caitlin shows up to Mike's house frustrated, though once she sees that he is dealing with literal aliens, their issues dissolve. And she isn't nearly as terrified as she should be. Actually, that's a pretty common theme for the rest of the movie. Suddenly, the mob dips as something they call Thode approaches. Oh, Barnabas is there too. He explains that Thode travels the universe in search of quote-unquote perfect specimens, and he fully invades the planets where he finds them. Like clockwork, Nick's little brother just kinda shows up and is kidnapped by Thode through a Stargate, and somehow Mike is panicking more than Nick. Since Thode seeks to collect perfect specimens, Mike gets the bright idea to lure him back by sacrificing Scott Schreibner?
Oh, no, Schreibner, it's me, Nick. What? What do you want, dweeb? Mike sent me. He knows you sabotaged the program for the dance. He wants to call you out right now.
You've got to be kidding me.
No, man, he's waiting. Caitlin's with him.
Why is Nick in Scott's house? Why is he wearing alien hands and a pig mask? Why is Scott listening to him? This is the laziest, most embarrassing way that could transition to the next plot point. This was almost about Mike connecting with another human being, but now it's just a dare, and he uses Scott's ego to go along with this. I know, I hate it too, but there's still 20 minutes left in this film, so we just gotta ride it out. Thode takes the bait, and everyone else rushes through the Stargate, though Caitlin has no reason to be tagging along, but oh well. We find ourselves in Thode's prison zoo, which is designed to look like a deep jungle, complete with dinosaur bones. The kids acknowledge the crystalline control panel, and one of the zoo exhibits grabs their attention.
They're just like in your story, Mike. How did you know?
I don't know.
So now the movie seems to be hinting that Mike actually is from an alien race, one with oven mitts for hands. And it is now time to meet Thode. Brace yourselves.
My specimens need my care and protection. Security is all important.
Thode is just a guy? So you mean to tell me that the most aggressive and egregiously greedy enemy of the universe is a middle-aged white man? Huh. Whoop, nope, he's a toad. Oh, Thode. Okay, that's... okay. While Mike and company are fleeing from Thode, we have sweet scenes between Scott and Nick's little brother chatting about learning to understand others. Basically, they had to find some way of making Scott less antagonistic when this is all over. Oh geez, Thode's got Mike cornered. How do you think this will be resolved? If you guessed, outsmarting the bad guy using a cage in his own lair that he is somehow not aware of, then simply taking the key from him, you would be correct. Good guess. Even though they have no time to lose, Mike wants to do something about the Hansel before trying to escape. And this happens.
I know how this works.
What's happening? Could the Hansel telepathically communicate with anyone, or just Mike? Is Mike a Hansel or not? Pick a lane, man! Mike decides to release all of Thode's captured specimens, at least that's what the context clues tell me, and all of the humans narrowly escape. However, the Stargate doesn't close, which means Thode is right behind them, and I shit you not, Barnabas tries to call the space police, and the line is busy. And now they need to stall Thode until the space police receive their distress signal. So naturally, Mike decides to mock the bad guy, Caitlin begs Barnabas to help them, and even though he's not actually a dog, his act of assistance is barking.
All right, Thode, hold it right there. Come where I can see it.
Just in time, officer.
Thode simply gives up when the space cop arrives. Caitlin tells Mike they make a great team, and they inform the space cop of the circumstances. Transition to sports game. Mike's warming the bench, and Barnabas shows up to say Thode's in jail and everything is dandy. And nobody is seeing Mike talk to a dog.
Many here who feel out of place point their heads down, but not you, Mike Pilsbury. You look to the stars. Remarkable.
I'll tell you what's remarkable, the audio Malcolm McDowell recorded for this bit.
That was delightful.
That ain't right. As the film finally fades to black, all I can think is, what is this movie even about? Most movies that are geared toward younger audiences tend to carry a moral or message that they can take away from what they just watched. And I gotta say, I'm drawing a blank for Can of Worms. Don't run away from your problems? Don't lie? Keep your head up? I can't make heads or tails of what the writers wanted to say about Mike being an alien. He seemed sure he was, then he wasn't. Then he was, then he wasn't. I'm sure I would have an actual answer if I read the novel that this putrid TV movie was based on, but that's gonna be a no for me, dog. As of this filming, Can of Worms has aired 8 times, including its initial premiere in 1999, which is, quite frankly, a lot more than I predicted. The plot is lopsided, the side characters lack emotional depth, and the amount of continuity errors show not only laziness when making this, but carelessness. I know you're not making Citizen Kane here, but I gotta wonder, why even make this in the first place? A lot of jokes in Can of Worms do not land for kids. The Bohm is a slimy, repugnant lawyer. Loafers has the expensive chompers of an executive, but he's just a skeevy talent scout who won't let you get a word in. That's show business. To wrap this all up, I want to thank you for watching, and to encourage you to please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And I want you to tell me in the comments if you knew about this movie before today. If you liked the video, please like the video. Special thanks go to Kelton for being the first to give monthly contributions to my channel. There is no such thing as a small contribution. It is a huge deal to me, and I wish you all of the positive karma that's coming back to you. On that note, if you would like to help me build this channel and allow for more content more frequently, the link to my Patreon is in the description of this video. Get yourself a producer credit and maybe even a little crocheted buddy made by yours truly. Much love. Thanks again for watching. I'll catch you on the flip side.